Yo, what is going on, Comfy Gang? I'm just gonna cover my face and act really depressed. I don't know. Work the angles, pretend like I'm crying, just for the video thumbnail. Hopefully that shows up so that this video thumbnail will make more sense, because today I'm gonna be talking about the aftermath of bullying and essentially what effects bullying has had on me, I guess psychologically and in a lot of other ways. I guess it makes sense because in my previous two videos, which is basically like one long video, I just talked about what exactly was done to me, but I didn't talk about how that, I guess, affected me throughout my life. And it really affected me in two major ways. And just a quick side note, I know these past few videos have been extremely negative, and I don't want my channel to be too negative, or I want it to be kind of like a mix of me trying to like improve myself, or just talk about like random NEET stuff in like a more neutral tone. But I think it just makes logical sense for me to talk about this also for like the aesthetics of my channel, because it makes sense to have a video talking about the aftermath of bullying right after the videos talking about what happened to me while I was bullied. But it's kind of stupid, but yeah. So also my parents are still awake right now, so I might have to talk a little bit quieter, but how else can I make myself look depressed? Okay, that's kind of weird. Why would I choke myself? Kind of like roping, I guess. No, but okay, that's probably gonna get like clipped or something, so I'm gonna stop. Yeah, so I'd say bullying has really affected me in two major ways, as well as numerous other ways that are much less significant, but I'm gonna try and focus on the two big ones for now. And the first one is that it really has affected my ability to, well, I guess first of all, it's probably a massive contributor to my social anxiety. There are like a couple of other experiences that I feel might have led to this, but it definitely has pushed me towards being more socially anxious. And that's because of the first reason bullying has affected me, which is that it has basically greatly diminished my ability to trust people in general. And that's because it probably is related to something along the lines of classical conditioning, or I guess operant conditioning, which is like these psychological, kind of like Pavlov's dog, if you've heard of that. If not, maybe just search it up. But yeah, it's kind of like basically my one traumatic experience with this person has basically made me, I guess, associate, I guess, a lot of negative emotions. And it's like my body almost prepares for conflict or for like bullying or abuse with every other person that I encounter, because, well, I guess the brain, or at least like your subconscious, is what some people call it. It's more like your lizard brain or your monkey brain, your brainstem even. I have no idea what exactly goes on in there. But yeah, all that stuff is basically wired now because of this bullying for me to constantly, I guess, subconsciously see people as a threat. So first of all, yeah, so basically, I guess if a lot of people have noticed, a large part of deepening connections is slowly building trust between the two people, be it in friendships or relationships. And part of that, a huge part of that, is often what I guess scientists or biologists would call like play fighting, or like I guess playing. And animals, the way animals do this is that they pretend to be in conflict. Like, for example, if you watch like puppies play with each other, or like animals like dogs, cats, a lot of it is like pretending to like hunt each other or fight each other. They open their mouths and they apply a little pressure, with almost like making like biting motions, pretending to like bite at each other's necks and pretend to kill each other. And there's a lot of evolutionary reasons for this. One of the, I guess it'd be called like roughhousing or whatever, playing, and it's theorized that the purpose of this behavior is to basically prepare animals to, hunt and actually do these things, but within like a safe context. It's like it's giving them just that right amount of stress where it's like positive, and it can almost be like exciting and pushing you outside of your comfort zone, but not in a way that both parties feel threatened, but it's kind of like a mutual give and take thing, or like they take turns. Even if it's like a bigger animal, the bigger animal will often pretend to like be taken down by like the smaller, like Pomeranian. Like a golden retriever playing with a Pomeranian will pretend to be, tackled and like being killed by the Pomeranian, but it's really just all like an act of play. And humans basically do this. I guess when you're kids, it can be more physical, especially if it's between like guys, but eventually as you get older and society tells you that, hitting each other is bad, because I guess to an extent it is, because, people are actually pretty fragile, and I guess it wouldn't be such a great idea to punch each other for fun. Even in like a boxing ring, for example, that can be pretty bad over time. So instead we do it with words, right? And that's, I guess, the role of teasing. But when teasing is kind of like a constant like give and take, sort of walking the line between being dangerous to each other mentally and just like being safe. So it's kind of like in that like gray zone where it's like exciting for both parties, but while still being safe. But when bullying happens, it's like, I think a lot of people who have been bullied can relate to this, but it's almost like your body is unable to recognize or like be in that gray zone. The moment you sense any sort of danger, even if it's just in like jest or like in a playful like teasing way, you automatically, like, your body immediately goes into like fight or flight mode, and your heart races, you feel like a tightening in your chest maybe, and you automatically subconsciously evaluate the person. Like, you're like hyperactive for threats basically, and you immediately evaluate the other person as a threat, both subconsciously and consciously, where your mind starts to come up with all these things, and like coming up with like really bad comebacks, like that are way too inappropriately like far, or you just automatically like shut down because you're too like anxious or scared, or you think that this person hates you, or that they're trying to do something to you. Your mind comes up with all these negative things, assuming that the person is trying to bully you, I guess, in a way, or like mistreat you, because because that's what you did experience at one point. These thoughts were valid at one point, but it's bad when they're generalized to everybody. And because play and teasing is a normal part of developing trust between people, it can be really detrimental to forming a lot of close relationships with other people. And it's like, sometimes, like in real life, for example, people might tease me, and consciously I know that it's just teasing, but it's like my body doesn't know that, so it'll automatically send me into fight or flight, and I might just give like that split second of looking like I'm hurt, or like I'm like pissed off or something. And in some sense I am, but not really. But it's like that split second where your body lets out that inappropriate response because you've been bullied, and the other person all of a sudden thinks you're weak, or that you're thin-skinned, that you're too sensitive, that you're a narcissist. And it's kind of similar, but not really. And well, as a consequence, yeah. And on the internal side, it's also like, it's kind of hard knowing that you can't always trust your instincts, because you would like to be able to believe that you can trust your gut feeling about people. But when you've been bullied, that has essentially been messed up by the bullying, where you become overly distrustful of other people, and it makes it really hard to engage in like playful teasing, because it's either like you shut down because you can't cope with it, or you have the tendency to think come up with like inappropriate like things and end up saying something that you might regret, because your brain is just on like overdrive, thinking that you're like under threat by the same bully who bullied you back in the day. And that's definitely one thing that I feel, that's definitely one way how bullying has affected me, is that it's basically caused me to mistrust others. And the other major way is that I feel like bullying, it's like they say bullies were bullied themselves. And although this is not true all the time, some people are just born bullies, and some people do it because it's kind of like a pattern where they notice it gives them like increased social status. But because, the whole bullies are unhappy, they hate themselves, it's true sometimes, but it's a myth a lot of the time. A lot of them do it just to boost their social status, and they don't really care about what happens to the other person. Not necessarily that they've been bullied themselves, although maybe they were and they learned it, and then they use that as their own tool now to like pull themselves up. But I think a lot of bullying actually can create a lot of darkness in people. I know I wasn't bullied that badly, but I can certainly, this might sound really bad, but I can certainly understand why some people do really messed up things, because already I wasn't really bullied that badly compared to a lot of people, but it already made me, I don't know, before being bullied, I feel like I was kind of just like innocent and just maybe overly nice, a little bit of a people pleaser. But after like the bullying that I experienced for that long, and I guess of like that severity, for that prolonged period of time, I feel like it definitely created a darkness in me. I don't know if it like brought something up that was already there, but that was just being kept hidden, or if that the bullying, the negative emotions, negative energy, it almost has a life of its own, I feel, where people who are hurt and traumatized will often try to consciously or unconsciously spread that to other people, because their mind just works in a way that it's like people who are hurt tend to want to hurt others. And obviously there are people who have never been hurt that do this, but there are also a lot of times it's people who have been hurt that end up wanting to hurt other people. And I feel that within me. I think, and it's kind of related to the first thing, where not trusting my own ability to evaluate threats in other people, because I feel like if I don't kind of keep myself in check, that combined with my hypersensitivity, combined with the sort of darkness that was created within me, I definitely have the potential to go off the rails and say some like really heinous stuff to people. Like, a lot of people, I guess, don't realize that about people who have been bullied, but being bullied is definitely a masterclass in bullying. Like, it definitely teaches you how to break people down and hurt them. For me, it wasn't physical. It wasn't so much physical as it was emotional and verbal, but I think, I don't know if this is a good thing, but I think I definitely learned what my weaknesses were, but at the same time, I sort of learned the patterns, the things that I'd have to do to break another person down and really hurt them. And I think maybe that's why I'm such a people pleaser, is maybe partially also because it's like a coping mechanism to counteract the fact that if I wasn't like that, I might just be a complete psychopath and, say things to people and piss people off and hurt people unnecessarily and basically spread the negativity, whatever. Like, I know people don't believe this. I'm strictly speaking like a metaphysical or like a metaphorical sense. There's no actual like negative energy field, although there might be, and maybe we haven't found ways to detect it with science yet. But I think I'm speaking in terms of like a metaphor, I guess. It almost like takes on a life of its own, and people who are hurt become like an avatar for that negativity. And it's like, I think I'm a pretty decent person, but there is definitely that tendency towards darkness within me. I generally, at the end of the day, I think want the best for most people, but it's like there's a lot of resentment and anger that's been created because of that within me. And I think it's partially at the world, but also because it's kind of like me feeling all this anger and resentment deep inside, but eventually subconsciously forgetting that it's strictly for my bully. And it ends up being directed towards the world or just people as a whole. And that might be also the root of my distrust. Like, obviously from the way I'm talking, things I'm describing, you can probably tell that it's done a number on me mentally, like the bullying. Like, I'm not like proud of this, but there was one time where someone was being like in real life was being kind of rude to me, and unnecessarily rude. So obviously I think I had the right to retaliate, but basically I basically treated this person the way my bully treated me. And it's like, I don't know, I think at the time I was just so fed up with life that I just maybe almost dissociated from it. I felt numb, and part of me was just like, I want to see what will happen if someone else were to experience the things I experienced. So I basically did what my bully did to me. In terms of like verbal abuse, like I just repeatedly call this person the same name over and over again, even when they were silent. I kept saying the same thing, and I just kept going at them and just being relentless. And this, I think, happened for like an hour. I think that was really terrible what I did, and I think I did it. I think they experienced an hour of what I experienced for like hundreds of hours, I'd say. And this person at the end of it just broke down and started crying. And I feel fucking hell. Fuck. God, that's embarrassing. I feel really guilty about it, and but at the same time, it's like I kind of felt, in a fucked up way, I kind of felt validated. Like, obviously I begged this person for forgiveness, and I think we're on good terms, but it's just like, man, like the fact that I haven't killed myself is honestly, I don't know. I think if people, I don't know, this is me just, taking part in the oppression Olympics now, because it's just another coping mechanism, to alleviate all the hurt. Like, oh, like, woe is me. I survived this bully. I'm somehow stronger. I'm more evolved than the other people. Like some BS like that. Like, obviously bullying is terrible, and I guess maybe that's all I can do is cope and pretend like, but I think it is kind of true in a sense where it kind of made me realize how bad what I went through actually was. And it makes me angry at myself for not doing something about it. Not doing something about it sooner. And but back to the whole it's like it's fucked up because now it's like almost like it's like I spent more time being bullied than doing a lot of things in my life. It's almost as if like I had I was trained in bullying by like probably one of the better bullies out there. By better, I mean more efficient bullies. So it's like I have that within me. I have that potential to hurt people. And I think a lot of people who are bullied or mistreated severely, and I can only imagine, like I can empathize and to an extent, I guess, not fully. It must be even way worse than people who have been like abused as kids or I don't know, sexual abuse, physical abuse as kids. Thankfully, I never experienced that, but so that just goes to show you how like effed up bullying is, because, or abuse in general. I think abuse is basically the same thing as bullying, or bullying is a type of abuse, but it definitely has that effect. So it's like I constantly have to like keep a rein on myself, and that also makes it hard to engage in like playful teasing because I'm hypersensitive and I'm capable of going way too far. And aside from these things, I guess it's also really lowered my self-esteem because, as some people have said, words, they do chip away at you. And they basically, when something is repeated over and over again to you, even if it's a lie, you almost start to believe it subconsciously. It's like we tend to believe the things that are repeated to us over and over again, even if they're false. I think there were some psychological studies proving this, though I can't remember which ones exactly. So there's that, and that also definitely didn't help with me trusting people. It made me feel like low status and that people were better than me somehow because I was constantly told that I was like an inferior human being, this and that, and just all that, it really made me sensitive to certain words that I was name called repeatedly to, so it's like, and it's like you would think that I'm a normal person, and I feel like I'm a pretty nice person for the most part. I think I genuinely am, but I think that if you were to, it's like I also just have had like revenge fantasies about the person who bullied me, and the things, like it's kind of like along the lines of, like the Purge movie. Like if the Purge were real, then I would do this and this to my bully, or one day I'm gonna go find my bully and do this and that. I'm not gonna go into detail because you'll probably think I'm some monster for the things that I would honestly do to my bully. And it sounds messed up, but I feel like I have no empathy, even though I know that it was kind of suggested to me that my bully might have been bullied by his older brother, treated the same way, and that's where he learned it from. But I have no remorse for him because at the end of the day, I am his victim. And the things I would do to him would make most people's skin crawl. But not only would I be numb to it, I would probably feel some sort of sadistic pleasure in inflicting pain on him as he did to me. Not that I would ever do this, because quite frankly, I don't want to go to jail, and I think if I were to do something like that, he would probably get the last laugh, because I would just end up in prison and he would just find that even more funny. So, yeah, I don't know if you guys can tell, but there's a lot of, negative emotions. I think I've mostly moved on from it, but I think it's, well, maybe not. I think I managed to bury a lot of it beneath the surface, but just talking about it definitely brings up some of those emotions. Thankfully, I don't think about it too often anymore. But I basically, after talking about it yesterday, I basically blocked this person on Facebook. Because, well, yeah, this person, I don't know, is a piece of crap basically, and I really don't want to deal with them. And yeah, but that just speaks to all the darkness, all the anger, all the resentment, and as well as how it has made me, unable to trust people, which has in turn damaged my ability to form relationships with others, and has, made me tend towards being isolated more than a normal person would. It's like I'm a normal person, but I would probably become a psychopath if I had the opportunity just to get back at my bully. Yeah, this is getting kind of dark. I think these are pretty much most of the major ways bullying has affected me. They're probably some of the other usual suspects, that you read about in articles about bullying. Just assume that all that stuff is true as well, because it probably is. How it's made me less confident, etc., however you pronounce that. But I think that's pretty much it. It just sucks not being able to trust your own intuition about people because of bullying, and it also sucks that, it's given birth to a monster inside me. Hopefully I'll be able to find true peace one day. I'm hoping I'm trending in that direction. But yeah, anyways, sorry. This video was definitely on the dark side. I think to make up for it, I'll be doing a NEET Ascension video next, trying to ignore all these negative thoughts and focus my life towards something more positive, as well as, do more things. I won't be talking about something that's dark for a while, because not just for the channel, but also just for my sake, because thinking about this stuff too long can obviously be very toxic. And I don't know. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say for now. This is Company signing out, and yeah, I'll be more positive for a while. So yeah, peace.